And let's bring in aviation editor, Daily Telegraph, Wole Shadare, to share more insight on these issues. Good to have you join us as always.
Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to be here.
So people have, been stating as reasons as to why this is being experienced at this moment. People have said, look, it's because of the intrusion of a local carrier in Nigeria into that, a route. But from what we just took, the CBN has also cleared the backlog of monies owed. Give us an idea of the factors responsible for this drop in fares.
Thank you very much. I think this is an exciting time for Nigerians, especially people who want to travel. Few months ago, airfare, like you rightly said in your report, for economic class went as high as 3 million, 4 million per passenger to Europe. And this actually made a lot of people to begin to travel across the border, to go to Ghana, to go to Togo, because fares were much cheaper compared to what we had in Nigeria. And the reason for that are not far-fetched, in the sense that at that period, for close to 3, 4, 5 years, foreign airlines fund amounting to over $700 million was trapped in Nigeria. And these foreign airlines found it very difficult to get their money. So it became a lot of problem. So what they did, because at that particular time, they felt the depreciation of the Naira, by the time they wait for the CBN to give them the dollar, what they have sold, their money in the bank would have depreciated by over 30-40%. So what they did was to close the lower inventory and made airfares to be very, very expensive. So what we had then was the highest inventory. But the federal government decided to pay off the airlines, give them back their money. So the airlines never had any reason to hide under that to increase fare. So they had to open those inventories, the lower inventories. What the lower inventories means is that if you're buying a ticket or if you're flying an airline, you have different classes of ticket. It starts with the lowest, and by the time you're done with that class, you go to the next class. It's slightly higher until it gets to the highest. So what the airlines did was to close those inventory and made everybody to buy at the particular or the highest inventory. So the airlines didn't have any reason to hold on to those low inventories or lower inventories. And coupled with the action of this Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, which mandated, in conjunction with NANTA, Nigeria Association of Travel Agents, compelled them to make sure that those lower inventories were opened and Nigeria could afford airfare. Now, if you go online, you can get airfare on Virgin Atlantic. I'm sorry to mention the airline. Just now, for me, at 980,000 naira for a return ticket, which
that's interesting. That's even below a million naira. But before we continue, I want to ask you, Mr. Shadare, just a minute, if you can help us take out your or take off your earpiece. We're having some sort of sound distortion coming from your end. I think it's coming from the earpiece. But let me also ask you, how sustainable is this, and can we expect a further drop in fares?
Yes, what also happened was that a local airline, I don't want to mention his name now, also decided to come onto the scene, and this has made it very, very competitive for airlines on the London route. The London route is one of the most lucrative routes ever for any airline. So what they have done is to ensure that there's a stiff competition. That the only way you can compete with these airlines is to reduce your fare. But you cannot reduce your fare to an extent that you will be running at a loss. The international airlines can afford to even say, okay, we want to run at 400,000 naira return. But how realistic is it for that domestic airline or Nigerian carrier to say they want to also run at that, because of the cost of operation is high? Over there, you can get loan at 1%. no Nigerian carrier can get loan less than 20-25%. So you're already losing. So it's going to be tough. But at the same time, Nigerians are going to benefit. It's a good one for Nigeria. The country is going to make money. Many people won't have to travel outside Nigeria to go to Togo, to go to Ghana before they can fly. Now you can fly for less than ₦1 million return ticket, economic class. So it's a good one for this country. So
when you talk about apologies for butting in, because you talked about how it is a good one for the country, but for a lot of people, what they do is local flights, and you've already started to talk about it while you were speaking, on my second question. What then can be done to ensure that we also have this impact on local flights? People are seeing an increase in fares. From Lagos to Abuja today is as much as 200,000, and for a lot of people, that's not affordable.
You see, the irony of it is that even the domestic flights are becoming more expensive than the London flight. If 6-hour flight return ticket can be 800,000, 900,000 to go to London and return, domestic flight for a trip within Nigeria that is even less than 1 hour is more than 200,000. Which one is cheaper? It means that international flight are even cheaper than the domestic flight if you have to look at it from the equidistance. So what we need to do, the airlines are really ripping off Nigerians, but at the same time, the cost of operation is very, very high. Jet fuel is very, very expensive. As at last year, it was 200 naira per liter. But as at today, it's about 1,500 naira per liter. So what will this airline do? The airlines will pass this cost to the passengers. So I think government also needs to look at how they can, assist the domestic airline to be profitable. And if you also look at it, how many people are traveling because of the economic situation? Thank God things are improving gradually. But how many people can afford to travel, pay 200,000 naira to travel to Abuja? If you're going to Abuja from Lagos and return, you spend nothing less than 400,000 naira on that trip. That is very, very expensive. What we need to do is that government should look into these airlines, help them, how to mitigate multiple taxes, charges. And if you look at the airport in Nigeria airport, the Abuja and Lagos airport are the most expensive airports in the world when it comes to taxes. So if you charge these airlines very highly, these airlines will pass the cost to the passengers, and you and I will be the one to pay. So we need government intervention, not by giving them money, but looking at ways to assist them to be profitable and make sure that people can fly at relatively cheaper fares. But also the problem is that the business model of the airlines are very wrong from beginning. You can't be using a 737 that is a fuel guzzler to do a domestic airline. An aircraft that should have been used for regional air operation, you are using it for domestic airline. So you're going to incur more cost. All over the world, people are looking at fuel-efficient aircraft like the Embraers, like the CRJs that some of the airlines are using. And some of these airlines that are using that aircraft are profitable. So the airlines need to go back to the drawing board to see how they can help them and see how they can make their operation more profitable.
So basically, it's federal government intervention and, the airlines going back to the drawing board to look at their business model. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for talking to us. Aviation editor, Daily Telegraph, Wole Shadare.
Thank you for having me.